Sweet. There's a nice big old largemouth. Bob Downey here with Midwest Outdoors. We're here in the early fall time period up in northern Minnesota. Beautiful largemouth on a jig with a Cleanup Craw on the back. Awesome fish, man, that thing is a tub. We'll get her back here. All right, that was a beautiful fish just on this dock jig, Cleanup Craw. You know, this is one of my favorite things to do this time of year. It's early fall. We've had a nice cold front about a week and a half ago, but now we've got nice, warm, stable temperatures. And that is my favorite time to come and fish these docks in the upper Midwest. A lot of times that cold front will get them pushed up here, and then we get some nice, stable, warm temps that they really like, and that gets them biting. So we'll keep moving down here and see what we run into. There's bite. Dude, that's a smallmouth. Big one, dude. Smallmouth under a dock. Nice smallmouth. We're just up on a sand flat here, and smallmouth do have a tendency to get under docks on sand flats, but that's a nice little bonus fish for us. Very cool, up on a jig again. Cool, well, that was fun. The smallmouth on a dock. That was a little bonus for us. We're targeting largemouth, but smallmouth are no strangers to docks too, so we'll take it. So when I'm fishing docks, I'm always keeping an eye out for something that's different, something that's unique down the stretch of docks that I'm fishing. This one you can see sticks out quite a bit further than all the ones behind it. And what that tells me is it's a high percentage area. It's just something different. It might have a little bit deeper water under it. It just sticks out further than the monotony of the ones behind it. Always keep your eye open for something different with those docks. Not everyone is treated the same. Yep. Nice chunky Largie. Well, that's fun. Healthy little fish on the jig and Cleanup Craw. Way up under there in the shade. We've got a perfect day today to be fishing these docks. You know, an ideal day is high sun, light winds, or next to no winds at all. Those are the best days to fish these things. Yeah, they will be under them under overcast conditions at times, but if you have the ability to pick your days to fish docks, high sun, low wind, and have at it. Wow, that's a nice one. Pretty largemouth up under that shallow dock, which those boat lifts can be really key at times too, besides the dock. You get a nice little boat lift next to the dock. Those are really good areas to target. But that's a pretty fish, healthy one. We'll get it back here. The rod that I prefer using when I'm flipping this jig under docks is the 7.3 heavy, extra fast Victory from St. Croix. A couple reasons for that. The extra fast tip is a nice little limber tip on the front to allow me to do roll casts and skip casts really well. And then it gets down into the backbone of this thing pretty quick. And it's a heavy, you know, it's a heavy power, so you're gonna get a nice stiff backbone that allows you to drive that hook really well with the jig. But a nice kind of finessey tip with the extra fast to allow you to make really accurate casts around these docks. A decent one. Little healthy Largie. Pretty one. One thing to really pay attention to when you're fishing docks is the depth of the water that's underneath them. Some days they want to be on the really shallow ones, other days they're on the deeper docks. And one way to help you determine stretches that are going to be better than others is look at your map, and you're going to be able to see the deeper stretches, shallow stretches, and then you can run a pattern based upon that. Another one on the jig. It's a fun size one. Their water's kind of getting pea soup here, but it doesn't seem to matter too much around docks. You know, they're relating to hardcover, and sometimes this dirtier water can actually make them relate to it a little bit more. So don't be afraid with these algae blooms when you're fishing around docks. You know, sometimes it kills off a lot of the other grass in the area, and the dock can be the best thing that they'll sit on for cover. So it seems like certain stretches of this lake today have dirty water and certain areas don't, but we've had some bites in both, so definitely don't be afraid of it. Another nice chunky one. Man, what a fun day. A lot of quality bites up here under docks this time of year. You get on the right lake where they like to get under them in the fall, you can have a lot of fun. Nice conditions to fish docks for sure. Oh, he got a biggin. Absolute biggin. Wow, you guys, look at that one. Absolute toad on a dock. We got some deep water rolling up next to these ones, which just makes a perfect recipe for a great dock. What an awesome day, you guys. We've had a lot of fun out here. Just fishing docks in the early fall time of the year. One of my favorite times to do it. Put a jig in your hand, clean up craw for a trailer. High sun, super fun way to catch them. 6.43 to end our day on a great day of dock fishing. You guys, that's one of the biggest Minnesota largemouth I've ever caught. We're gonna get her back here. It's been a blast out here fishing docks today. I'm Bob Downey, and we'll be right back with more from Midwest Outdoors.